I'm back. Can you guys see me right now? I love it. What's up, everybody? Sorry for the technical difficulties. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get this party started. I can see you guys are starting to throw in some greetings. Where are you from? I see greetings from all over the place. What's up, everybody from Richmond, Virginia, Tallahassee, LaGrange, Georgia. I see someone from Florida. Hoping everyone in Florida is safe and hunkering down or out of there. Obviously, know some scary stuff's coming your way. So thinking about all you guys and, we are excited to jump in. Sorry about the tardiness, but let's get this party started. Claremont, Florida, Miami, Florida, a lot of people in Florida on here. So, and Martin said, we have a lot of feedback. Zach, Peter, you guys getting feedback from me? Nope.
I am not.
Clear? Okay, cool. All right, well, let's get this party started. Look, we're super excited. This one's special to me. We're going to jump in and talk a little bit about Fello and Sierra and this beautiful marriage that we are bringing everyone here today to participate in this celebration. We're going to kind of fly through these. I want to show you a little bit of the product and what the integration looks like, and want to talk to Zach Sykes a little bit about his business, and just excited to get going. So, a little intro on myself, Ryan Young, founder and CEO of Fello. Gentlemen, why don't you guys introduce yourself real quick?
Hey, everybody. Peter McLaughlin, CEO at Sierra. I've been at the business for 2+ years now.
Mr. Sykes.
Yeah, guys, I'm Zach Sykes. I'm a broker owner of an independent real estate brokerage in Oklahoma. So if y'all need any referrals going to the Oklahoma City, Edmond area, send them our way. Been in business about 15 years.
I love it. I love it. And just a little bit about ourselves, about Fello. So something that's super important, and I always like to lead with this, is beside from founding Fello, originally, or still do, own and operate one of the largest teams in Ohio, number 15 large team in the country, classified by Real Trends. And what's most special about this for me is not only being a agent and building a team, and then starting a company, Fello, that ultimately has helped our team scale our business. We sell about 500 homes a year. We're normally 60+% listing based. So we don't do the flex thing, and we don't do a lot of the buyer leads. We've just always been listing heavy. And a lot of that's come from our database, and that's kind of where Fello, what it basically founded from. But what I'm also most excited about is that the young team's been a Sierra user for a long time. And so the reason why this one is so special for me is the fact that we are collaborating and bringing both companies together, and the fact that I actually use the platform that we're talking about in the integration. And, Peter, give us a little bit of information about Sierra.
Yeah, I mean, this partnership is so natural, given Ryan and his team have been customers for a long time. And the products are super complementary. So for those of you that don't know much about us, we have two primary components to our platform. IDX websites that outcompete everyone from an organic search perspective, and our conversion machines paired with the CRM. And then around that, we have services that allow our customers to generate more leads, whether that's through PPC, and also learn the platform such that agents, admins, and team leaders are harnessing the full power of it. And so, as Ryan and I have been talking about this partnership over the last 6 to 9 months, what Fello is trying to do and what we're trying to do are so aligned, and excited to get this off the ground into the hands of all of our customers.
Love it. I love it. Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that, like I said, we've been talking about this for a bit, and there are a number of reasons why we wanted to make this happen, and why both businesses invested behind making this happen. First and foremost, as most of you, I'm sure, know, your database is your biggest asset, and for a lot of teams out there, that database is being underutilized and undermonetized. And how do we ensure that we give you the toolkit to do so efficiently and at scale? It's one thing to just say, hey, I'm going to have my agents call old leads. That's not going to get the job done. Software can help you do that, and that's what this integration does. Secondly, at Sierra, what we're invested in is providing a seller lead and listings toolkit that allows our customers to outcompete and win, especially in a post-NAR settlement world. And I know, and we at Sierra know, that there are great tools and great innovation happening around us. And Fello is the best example of that. And we wanted to make sure that our customers had access via native integration to Fello, and that the data sync and everything in between was happening efficiently and effectively. And then lastly, it's important for us at Sierra to give our customers choice. At the end of the day, being able to partner with phenomenal solutions like Fello only makes our platform more powerful. And the businesses that win in real estate software enable customers like you to make those choices. And so, this allows customers to leverage both platforms in a highly effective and efficient way. And I also want to note that this is V1 of the integration, right? There's so much more we're going to be able to do, but we wanted to make sure we brought something to market sooner rather than later. It's already quite good, and we'll be taking feedback from all of you to be able to make it even better going forward.
Yeah, I think that that's super important. And look, we're super excited to bring this to you guys. It's beta, right? Like, we would rather, though, start bringing people in and start integrating. And the reason being is because when you look at the benefits and some of the things I'll show you within my own Sierra and Fello account, is the ability to pass data back and forth much more efficiently. The ability to ultimately reduce your expense. I know my team was making a pretty large investment, paying Zapier, monthly, right? So we're going to eliminate that expense, which I think is super crucial. And then I would say the productivity side of things. There's always this debate, and you guys will see, and I feel Fello is such a powerful platform, and I'm essentially the founder of Fello, right? Like, it's my kind of like brainchild, if you will. And yet my team wants to work out of the CRM, right? And so I think one of the things that I've learned, and, I talked to the other co-founders and my partners, is like, let's not try to resist having agents work out of their CRM. Let's find a way to bring this information and all this rich data and the ability, all the benefits that Fello provides into the CRM, which ultimately is going to just increase efficiency and productivity. So we're super excited to show you what that looks like. And one of the things that's really important is when you start thinking about just the granular, Fello is a marketing automation platform that focuses on database engagement. And we do that by powering your data with this really rich data. We're going to show you kind of how you can turn on certain things passing back and forth, and so that it's really customized to ultimately what you want to have integrated. And this is something that I think is really important. We're starting to see this massive transformation. Fello's been around for about 2 years. Actually, it was just our 2-year anniversary on the 3rd. And we've seen this movement, this like just total transformation of the way people are approaching the real estate industry. And this statement, I think, says it all. The winning teams of the future will have transformed their databases into assets that consistently generate listings. And that's kind of really a pillar of what Fello does. And I'm super excited to bring on Zach and kind of talk a little bit about your business, who uses both Fello and Sierra, and how you are kind of turning your database into this 24/7 listing engine, where you have this super tight funnel, you're generating leads, you're automating them, you're incubating them, and then you're converting them into opportunities. So instead of me and Peter talking at you guys for the entire 45 minutes or so, I thought it'd be super helpful if, we could bring on someone like Zach and, runs a top team within the country, and kind of just talk a little bit about experience of using both. And then we'll jump into the actual product and show you a little bit more about what the integration looks like and some other fun things. So, Peter, why don't you take it away with Zach?
Yeah. Zach, just to set the stage a little bit, could you give the audience just a little bit of context around your business? What does your team look like? What are the markets you serve, et cetera?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a new headshot. I need to get a haircut in that picture, so I'm going to work on that next. Now, I started in real estate when I was 23, and didn't couldn't really go the old-fashioned route, right? With worker sphere of influence, your database, because my friends were broke college kids, right? And so we had to get really tech-heavy really early, and that taught me to have this wonderful appreciation for tech and become a power user of CRMs and tech for a long time. And so we started as a solo agent and grew a team, and then eventually our team went out and opened up our own brokerage. And so right now we kind of run a hybrid model with, our core agents are really our team members, and then, some agents that instead of, we have some that just regularly do their own thing, but we have a good core of focused agents that are really treated as a team member, inside of our brokerage. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. That was perfect. And then I guess just one more piece of context, like what does your tech stack look like today?
Our tech stack looks like today. Right now, we're running probably 80% of our time. Our agents are spending their time in Sierra. It's their number one go-to. We folded in Fello. We've been asking for something like this for years from our tech vendors, and this has been like it's been something we've been wanting for a long time, and this has finally been really, really cool to get implemented this last season. So right now we're tech stack looks like Sierra, Fello fully integrated. We just folded on our Rooster app, and then we're testing out some AI stuff to help us coach our sales calls, which is really, really cool.
Awesome, that's helpful. All right, so you're on the native integration.
Yep.
You and I have been talking about this for a while. You were very fired up to get it up and going.
Yeah.
Now that it's live, talk us through the key pieces of value you and your team are receiving from it. What's changed?
If anybody's been in real estate any amount of time, whether you're a solo agent or whether you are run a team or team leader or whatever, what do we know? We know that most agents are horrible at managing their database, right? They're horrible at keeping in touch with their past clients, their sphere of influence, any of those guys. And so this has been a phenomenal tool for us to make sure our agents, or at least the very least, inputting all their database in, right? Because we think, what's the old saying, 33 touch, 36 touch, or Buffini version, or whatever version you're looking at, they're all saying this different versions of the same thing, talk to your database, this and deliver relevant content of value, right? You hear this over and over again. The Fello system has been able to deliver more value to our clients, more interaction with our clients without any additional steps to our agents. And that's been the key thing, right? Where do agents fail? The agents fail in execution, right? We fail as agents in execution. And so in order to execute at a higher degree, we need to make things really, really simple or leverage technology. And that's what's been the biggest thing is, hey, I'm gathering all of this other information about my database. I'm cleaning the data, we're getting more addresses, we're seeing more interactions. Now we can pull those lists and deepen those connections. They're not really, some of them are full hand raisers, some of them are, nods, some of them are just make eye contact and I'm gonna go talk to you across the room, right? Whatever that is. It's been pretty darn powerful to deepen the relationship with our leads and our clients inside that database without much more work at all from the agents. They're able to cherry pick those, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's the win-win, right?
Yeah.
Put more hand raisers in front of your agents without them having to do much more work. And so Fello is enriching your database and sending out more targeted, personalized, impactful messaging to those folks. You're generating hand raisers, and then how is that process working when those hand raisers are generated? Are you then standing up automations within Sierra for them to move further in the funnel? I guess how are your agents engaging with those folks?
All right, so tech guys may not always like me in this one, but I think the first thing should be a phone call.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as it comes through, we'll make a phone call as fast as possible. These are tech as our safety net backup, right? So I want that agent, whether it's me or ISA or one of our agents, we're calling that lead or that client immediately. I saw you at the cash offer. Talk to you. What's going on? What do you want to? Are you thinking about a distress situation? Is this an investment property? You just want to know what your property is worth? Tell us your situation, and then go help people. And then that's triggering off, action plans and everything else that follows along inside the system. But the cool thing about it is they don't have to switch back and forth between 100 different systems to do it. It's all integrated now, and it keeps people that may not be super tech savvy. It keeps them in the system. It keeps them engaged, and that's what's awesome.
I'm curious, just real quick. Your business, are you guys more buyer focused, seller focused? What does that look like?
And we traditionally, in the past, we were buyer side, and it's been a massive push on our side the last 4 or 5 years to move that as much as we can to seller. I think in this next season, when listings are, I think we've all seen the market start to shift a little bit. I know our market's gone from less than 2,000 active listings to north of close to 8,000 active listings at any given time. And as we go through this next season, the ones that are going to be able to gain market share are the ones that look great listing agents, right? And we have to go do that. And that was actually helping us move that needle going to the listing ratio is moving way more towards the listing side than it ever has been, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that I think we're just starting to see. Some of it's obviously market. It's just being driven by the market conditions over the past couple years.
Yeah.
But full disclosure to everyone that's listening, like, I think over the past decade, we've seen such a move towards buyer business because it's just easier, right?
Yeah.
Like, buyer leads are more accessible. Buyer leads are more relational. They interview a lot of times they don't interview an agent. They just work with the agent that provides the most convenience and that meets them at the house. And obviously that's starting to change is, the settlement is starting to actually have more of a transactional conversation with buyers before you meet with them. But the benefits of building a listing-based business are so powerful. It's where you have all your leverage. And that's something that's super important is, as we were starting to scale Fello, was really starting to help these agents that built these databases, which what's interesting is Fello observes markets to about 30 plus million contacts month over month. And when people first upload their database, so it's a pretty large sample size, we see about over 80% of those contacts don't have an address attached, right? And so the thought process behind if we can help those agents find the address or the homeowners in their database and then market to those homeowners, they're going to naturally see a lot more hand raisers, right? And I think you're seeing that with 700, almost 800, over 800 leads, hand raisers on the seller side in the past 4 or 5 months or so. And just one other question on that. You guys are running a cash offer program. Is that something that you've always done, or is that something you introduced as soon as you started working with Fello?
It's never something we've advertised. I mean, we did it a couple different ways. In the past, we'd always told our agents, if you bring me a house, I'll buy it, and you get to keep all your commissions, right? Instead of, because I truly wanted to go buy houses. Now we couldn't ever figure it out. We couldn't figure out a way to scale it or make the tech work the right way, or we could do it, but it never was really consistent. And by adding, folding Fello into that integration with the Sierra, which we were already using, it's been a really easy switch to turn on and have more of those conversations, right? Yeah. Agents already knew how to have the conversation. We just didn't have enough at bats, right? And now this is giving us a lot more at bats, which is amazing.
And Peter, one of the things I've always liked about the the Sierra templated sites was they always had that cash offer button there. I'm a huge advocate for the cash offer. I think that when you combine, and I'll show you guys this in the platform, but when you combine the home value message with the cash offer right below it, you're going to naturally start to see the biggest pushback people get with home value leads is that they're lower intent, right? It's a very wide message. It's really universal though to every homeowner. If you get a message and you own a house, are you curious what your home is worth? These people aren't saying that they want to sell their house. They're just saying they want to see what their home is worth, right? So it's a really strong message to get people in the top of the funnel. But then you need something sitting right below that to start pushing these people naturally down the funnel, which I have always found that cash offer message right below it are stacked is just super powerful, So,
Yep.
Sykes, appreciate you, man. I love your guys' business. You guys are awesome. And great users, and just super excited for you guys to be on this integration. And now we're excited to show everyone a little bit of what this looks like. Is it cool if I jump into the product?
Of course.
I love it. Cool. So a couple of people on here said, what does Fello do? So Fello basically is focused on a couple things. That is, and let me just pin this. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, cool.
Yes.
So Fello is really centered around data. And it's just super important. And when you think of a database, and look, we all build these big databases, but I feel like there's a true absence of data. And, Fello is obsessed with, I would say, like data driven intelligence and like really getting the most out of all of the context that you have in your database. So we use public record data, MLS data, mortgage data. And for example, as soon as you sync your database into Fello, you are naturally going to see, take for example, and this is the Young Team's Fello account. So please don't start calling these people if you live in Northeast Ohio. It'd be super awkward. But I'm just showing you in full transparency. Take, for example, this lead that just came in from a home value engagement 3 minutes ago. I can click on the property and see that they actually own the property. I can also, this is interesting, it looks like they were recently on the market in June and they just expired or they withdrew their property. And I can see a little bit more information about, it looks like they went active on April. It looks like they've been on maybe multiple times. I don't know how they got into our ecosystem. I can actually see right here that it looks like they came in through expired and they've been in our ecosystem since April 23rd of this year. But my point of showing you this is we have a bunch of different valuations we're showing. You also have the ability to add your own evaluation. Then we also have all this really rich mortgage data. Okay. And this has become a really strong talking point given the volatility of interest rates over the past couple years, and especially as they're coming down. I now have visibility into when these people took, the type of debt or mortgages that they have on their property. I can see how long they've been in their home for. And this is going to help me start to become really intentional with my marketing efforts. Okay. So you plug in your database and all of a sudden you immediately have access to this really rich data, and you look at your database through a totally different lens. Now, Fello's job is to create engagement, right? Sierra's job is to create a sales process. So my team dials through Sierra. We have automated texting that goes out. Fully automated action plans has been something that we've always loved about Sierra. We're using it as a place to manage and store all of our connectivity and sales efforts with these prospects, while Fellows working in the background, leveraging this big data for us to become much more intentional on who we're marketing to. Okay. So let's just say, for example, we have this data now. And I want to show you how we leverage it to become really intentional within our database. So the Young Team, for example, has 50,000 people in our database. And we have, let's just see how many people actually have an address. So we have 41,000 that actually have an address. We work very hard at that. And then let's just see how many of them are in the state of Ohio, because that's the market that we service. Now, you could also do this in Sierra, right? As you are looking at the Sierra product and saying, well, yeah, I can say if address is present. We do that in Sierra as well. But now let's take it one step further and start becoming really intentional with our sales effort and with our marketing efforts. Of these 37,000 people in Ohio, let's see how many of them have been in their home for over 10 years. So last sale date is more than 10 years ago, which that probably should take this number down. But I would much rather talk to people that have been in their home over 10 years versus people that just moved in their home a year ago. Over 10 years, it's more likely they have more equity, they've seen appreciation, and they probably are having a lifestyle change soon, given the fact that they've been in their house 10 years. Let's even go further, though. Let's look for even higher intent people. So show me people in the state of Ohio that have been in their home for over 10 years and that don't have a mortgage on their property. Now, I could say, show me people that have over a 6% mortgage, or people that have an FHA mortgage or an adjustable mortgage or home equity line of credit. But just to keep things simple, one of the biggest objections we hear as salespeople right now is, I don't want to sell my house. I have a 3% mortgage. Like, why would I want to lose my mortgage? Well, let's become really strategic and reach out to people that don't have a mortgage on their property, right? And this is where I'm saying, when you want to become really intentional with seller lead generation, all of a sudden you start looking through a completely different lens at how we're approaching, not just calling random people, but we're being really intentional who we're marketing to and what we're saying to them. Okay. And then let's just do one more thing. So now we're looking at people in Ohio that have been in their home over 10 years and that don't have a mortgage on their property. What Fellow likes to do is also combine in engagement. So Fellow naturally sends direct mail and email to homeowners focused on things like home value and cash offer and expired messaging. So I want to say maybe show people that have clicked on their home value dashboard at least, let's say, more than 3 times, let's say 4 times at a minimum. So here I have this really nice list of 248 people, but you know what? I really want to focus on getting my average price point up. So of those people, how many of them live in a home over, let's say, 250,000? So you can see where we use all this public record data and mortgage data to become so much more intentional on who we're reaching out to, right? So now I have this list, and I'll show you with the integration why this becomes so much more usable within Sierra. Now I can do a couple things. Let's just say I wanted to take this list right here and I wanted to apply a tag, which is automatically going to sync over to Sierra, right? And let's just say I do a Sierra test, apply a Sierra test to all of them. I'm not going to do it because my team will kill me, but we do have a Sierra test tag in here. Then as soon as I click that, what's going to happen is I go into my Sierra account and it naturally pushes over all of those Sierra test leads, right? So you can create whatever type of tags you choose, but naturally this is one way to start pushing data back and forth. So you can leverage all this data, create really intentional lists, and then push it into your sales CRM, right? And start calling them, putting them in fully automated action plans, etc., to start texting them. What you can also do in Fellow is you can start creating really intentional marketing automations that hopefully will create more engagement that once again helps you push them back into Sierra. So for example, let's say I wanted to add them into a cash offer message. Sykes says he does cash offer. So what we do is we have this basically decision tree automation built out where you can do direct mail, you can do emails, etc. And I might only want to put those people in to this automation, or maybe I just want to make sure that none of them are active on the market. Remember, we have MLS data. I don't want to be marketing to people that are currently on market. So let me remove any of those by saying if they're none of, let's put that on there, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to move them into a decision tree that ultimately creates this very long engagement that is so high intent and focused on messaging that is relevant to that list you built. Let's say, for example, this is a cash offer. This would be a sample of a cash offer email. We use what we call smart content. So we use thousands of different variations of different types of email content. So we really focus on deliverability and inboxing. And what's going to happen is the people that you enroll in here are going to start getting dripped on this engagement message until they interact with it, which then pushes them over to Sierra. Okay. So it's super important to kind of think of how we're leveraging this rich data to come in and show you who are the people that are most likely to sell. And so we're leveraging things like lead scoring, right? Based on engagement, based on people at how long they've been in their home, based on mortgage, based on all this really rich data. Okay. And so I think Claire, I see that you said user friendly. The best part about this is this all is happening automated, right? So we can apply workflows and build it out for you so that naturally this starts to just happen on its own and push data back and forth. Okay. So it's really important that understanding there's some complexity to the way we've built Fellow, but the complexity is actually designed for our team to help you build it and then kind of set it and forget it and for it to just naturally happen. Okay. So I want to show you what this looks like from an integration standpoint and how important this is for my team. Let's just take, for example, this new lead that was created, Nick Merrick. I can just right away click on this Sierra link right here, and it's going to drive me right into this contact in the Sierra level. Now, on the flip side, if I'm in Sierra and I want to look for more data, all I have to do is view this on connected link on Fellow, and it drives me right into the contact. Okay. So the ability to pass this data back and forth is super, super, super important to increase efficiency. Both Peter and Zach said so. Like, This is how now my team can stay working in Sierra, focusing on these tags and focusing on engagement. But then if we need to go into Fello to grab more engagement, we just click the link and then we get access to all this really rich information. Okay. I'll shut up for a second. Peter, Zach, any questions on that before I show the integration?
And I love it. We've had some of our agents start sending out more of their own mail too, and it's been really, really powerful. And even using this as a way to farm their own database.
100%. That's and just the ability to diversify. The ability to diversify from email to direct mail, and what we're seeing is that email is obviously it's a great option, but the mailboxes from a direct mail standpoint are actually less crowded now more than ever. So adding this direct mail, and we're just starting on direct mail. It's going to get super wide and on the diversity of the type of marketing assets that you can send to people. Peter, you were saying?
Yeah, sorry, I realized I was on mute earlier. I wanted to hammer home a few things you said, because I think they're kind of like the key pillars of the rationale behind this integration, and also kind of the purpose for both of our businesses. So we have so many customers at Sierra, unfortunately, and we're working with them who either have a lack of data in their CRM or bad data, right? And if you have a lack of data or bad data, then your database is just fundamentally less valuable. And so how do you enrich that database with the right information, not just information, but the right information is step one. Step two is that information then allows you to be personalized with your reach out, right? The more information you have about a lead relative to their home, relative to their life, the better message you're going to be able to send them. But then personalization without automation doesn't allow you to scale. So if you pair personalization with automation, that's where the secret sauce is, and that's how Zach can build the type of business that he's built over however many years. So data, personalization, automation, you have those three things combined. That's when you build a marketing and sales machine. And that's how you put agents in a position to do the high value work, right? Actually talk to customers versus BS work like inputting data into a database.
100%. I think that's so spot on. And that's something that like the young team has become obsessed with, is like database hygiene. And I'm working on this like big documented playbook for everyone on just what the young team does from a database hygiene standpoint. We actually have a full-time team member. That's all they do. And here's what's so important is we leverage all of this data, right? And I'll show you the thing that I would say makes the biggest impact on our business is, and let me just pin this really quick. All right. So in Fello, because we have this MLS and public record data, we actually notify you every day of the opportunities in your database that list their home, whether with or without you, right? And it's a kick in the you know what when you get this message every day of saying, hey, here are opportunities that ultimately didn't list with you. And so take, for example, this person in the young team, Michelle Tillery. I can see she requested her home value 359 days ago, and she just listed with this person on October 1st, right? And so this person from 646 days ago, and this person from 406 days ago, and this person from 245 days ago. And you kind of get the idea, right? Of like, there is a lot of people engaging that ultimately don't transact with us. Fello's job is to help us convert more of those opportunities, but also to create awareness and visibility on the opportunities that we're losing. And here's why. I know that these people, all right, that are listing their homes ultimately will end up selling their homes, or maybe those homes will expire and then I would actually have them as an opportunity as an expired within my own database. But what I can do is I can come in here and basically, because I know people that are selling their homes, I can say, show me anyone MLS status is sold, right? And what I can do is I can remove that address from their name. And then what Fello does is we enrich databases. So we actually find their addresses. So what I can start doing is I can start saying, Adria just sold her house on October 4th. I can see that she's the owner. Obviously, that's going to move out of her name and into whoever the buyer's name is. what we would do is we will remove that address, right? We would say something like sold, no longer owns this home. And then we would go find her new address and start marketing to her for maybe it's 3 years from now, maybe it's 7 years from now when she actually moves and wants to sell again. But by then I've been marketing to her for that entirety since she moved, right? So sometimes we look at it as a lost opportunity as well. What's the point of, if you lost the opportunity, just burn it, right? I'm already thinking through the next 5 to 10 years of I already paid for that lead. That lead opted in, right? Which is gold to me. I want to continue to provide value to this person. And what do you think my pipeline in my database looks like in 5 years from now, from even the people that we lost this time are in their new house that we've been marketing to for the next 5 years. So I say this because, like, to Peter's point, the data is so important that you have visibility into what's actually happening, the lost opportunities, the won opportunities, and the hygiene component. You're going to get such a higher ROI on your database when you start looking at it through this lens and you start holding essentially your database accountable to the hygiene of the data, right? Anything else before I'd show real quickly what the integration looks like? Nope. Let's do it. All right, cool. So just really quick, I want you to see how granular this integration is. I'm super proud of it. Let's just jump in and show what this looks like. So what's really powerful is you have the ability to identify if you want, when you integrate, things to go one way from Fello to Sierra, Sierra to Fello, or bi-directionally, right? And what's going to happen is you're going to be able to choose what you actually want to push over. If you want property addresses that are happening in Sierra or in Fello, you can choose, I want them to go both ways. So as soon as you add an address to Sierra, it's going to push over to Fello. As soon as you have an address in Fello, it's going to push over to Sierra, right? Contact tags, etc. But it's done really with a high sophistication. We don't want to overwrite. For example, let's say you have a client that has multiple properties. We might not want to push over and overwrite in an address that's already existing there. I think it's really important to make sure that we understand, and once again, we will help you build this out and make sure it's customized to what you want, that you are pushing data back and forth both ways, right? And as efficiently and effectively to your business as possible. What's also nice is the ability to identify users and bring them in instantaneously to the Fello platform. So what we do is we identify all the users that you have in Sierra. My team has 27, and we identify if there's any users that are currently not in Fello, or currently you have Fello users that are not in Sierra, right? And if you want, with a click of a button, we can automatically populate them, bring their headshots in, bring their usernames over, etc. So it's this really clean sync on not only the data, but the users in your platform. And the goal is, once again, I think Peter said originally, is how can we make this as efficient as possible? And what we found is we give the ability to customize and go as granular as possible, giving you the control of what you want to push back and forth, right? But us helping you and facilitating and setting it up. And then once you set it up, it's kind of set it and forget it. And it's going to create so much more value within your Sierra CRM in your database. Now that you have something working on the back end that's constantly marketing to them, constantly enriching the data, providing you this really rich information, and then leveraging the CRM ultimately to come in and communicate with these people through all the great things that Sierra does. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I know we have a bunch of questions. If you guys want to fire them out, I know Carrie is backstage. She was going to bring on some. Let me bring her on. Did I do this right? Wow. Welcome to the main stage. You're on mute. Her first rodeo.
First rodeo. I've never been on a webinar before. Thanks, Ryan. I've got a couple questions from the chat and then some things that we had prepared ahead of time. The first one for both Ryan and Zach as team leaders. A lot of folks would like to understand, how are you using the Fello segments and tags to trigger additional automations or activities for your agents in Sierra, and what are those automations or activities?
Let me jump in that one first real quick, just because that's something that I've just become so passionate about. It's weird to be passionate about segments and tags, right? Maybe that's passionate's not the best word. But what I have found is, and this is something that Fello IQ, that lead score that I just showed you, is really the foundation of it. What I have found is all of my segments include like a few key pillars. The first pillar is lengthen home. Okay. So I've always found that like people that have been in their home longer are more likely to sell. The next pillar is the type of mortgage or the type of, you know, whether it's interest rates, some sort of mortgage filter on top of it. And then lastly, the engagement component. And so when we can take things like propensity data, which is their likelihood to sell, and combine that with engagement or behavior, I have found that that is where my team has the most success. You know, leveraging, for example, someone who said selling as soon as possible or 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, and then making sure that they've been in their house for over a certain period of time. We have a large enough database where we can be really intentional and really segmented and filtered down to providing like this really granular kind of like tight segment. Because we have 50,000 people to choose from, and it's allowed us to become really efficient. Sykes, I don't know if you've seen other segments that you guys are using that like you really like.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I love how freaking smart you are, Ryan. You founded this thing, all the ins and outs of it, all the tips and tricks. I'm a lot newer to Fello than you are, hopefully, right? So we just went with the basics, right? We're going to take the other approach, making sure every time one of those hand raisers comes in, the cash offer coming in, the form submitter coming in, and they're pushing those tags that said, email clicked, or they've opened an email, but we haven't contacted them in the last month, right? The people that are showing offline activity, or either they look at a postcard or zoomed in a postcard or direct link, whatever, or they've opened the Fello activity, maybe haven't been back on our website. Those guys we haven't talked to in the last month. So we're kind of combining that Fello data with our communications logs in Sierra and said, okay, these are the guys I'm probably need to go back and touch base at the beginning. People already have a relationship with, already know who we are. Maybe we haven't talked to them in a while. Let's go make sure we're keeping in touch.
Yeah. And really quick, I think it's super important, like to Sykes' point, like we started like with what I would say is like very simple, like hand raisers. And it's just now that we've been in it for so long and we've been incubating our database, my team was obviously the first one on. We've just been able to get so much more refined in like who we're actually reaching out to, because we have, unfortunately, not enough salespeople within our organization for the size of the database that the Opportunities Fellow is kicking out. That's a human resource problem. But like, because of that, I have to kind of like cherry pick, right? The best opportunities for my team members, and therefore our conversion goes up really high on them. Something that's super important is in March, I did this 30-day listing challenge where I've been out of production for 4 years, but I said, I'm going to jump back in. I'm going to set 30 listing appointments in 30 days out of my database. The reason why I was able to do that was because of those segments. Like, for me, while people were like, that's unbelievable that you were able to set 30 listing appointments, I was kind of cheating because I was calling people that ultimately I knew maybe they didn't say they were getting ready to sell, but based on the data, it was more likely that they were going to sell. So I was able to do it really efficiently by becoming really intentional with who I was reaching out to,
Love it.
So Ryan, I want to encourage everybody else there real quick. Even if you're doing it like it's just the entry level or beginners relative to Ryan, like we're doing it, it's still incredibly effective. You don't have to be as good as Ryan at it, and it still works. Yeah. That's what's really cool about it.
Ryan, here's a question we've gotten a couple times in the chat, one of our favorites. Some of the folks on the call today have built their databases on buyer leads, and they'd like to understand, will Fello work for those as well?
Yeah, that's really how Fello started. It started as my team 10 years ago buying buyer leads, right? But we started to become obsessed with where do they live, and we started to see those opportunities actually after we started talking to them. They said, we just listed our house, so we're going to work with the listing agent that on the buy side. And it's like, damn it, we didn't even think about the fact that they were potentially homeowners. So what Fello does is we take two approaches to this. The first is we provide what we call a database enrichment, where we actually do an address enrichment to your buyer leads to find out where they live. Okay. And then what we also do is, after we do that first initial scrub, to Sykes' point about the personalization and the stickiness of the message, when we know where there's an address,
we provide a direct, an email message that normally includes that address in the message, right? It's just a really high converting message when it feels relevant and personalized to you. If we don't know what the address is because it's a potential buyer lead that we couldn't find their address, then what we do is we send a more generic message, which is focused more on your home. Get a cash offer on your home, get your home value, right? See recent sales around your home. When they go to engage with that messaging, it says, great, please confirm your address, okay? And what we're really doing is we're asking them to give us their address, and then we push it over as a new home value lead, and we push that data into Sierra.
Love it. I find that a lot of times we think that they're buyers, but they also own a home, right? So we always we forget that.
Yeah. We see about 60% or so are actual homeowners. And one of the things that hopefully you take away, whether you use Fello, you use Sierra, or you don't use either of them, is look at your database through the lens of where are the homeowners in your database, right? Like obviously Sierra and Fello are an optimized tech stack to help you identify them and to help you engage with them. But that is something philosophically that you need to start investing into. And it needs to be a pillar of your business. Think about the ROI of the buyer leads you are acquiring. If you actually could list a house or multiple houses a year just from those opportunities when you never used to approach it through that lens.
One more question here, and then we can get into how they can learn more about the integration or Fello or Sierra. What are the top things that the agent should be doing today within Sierra and Fello to get ready for 2025?
It's a great question. Peter, why don't you kick that off?
Yeah, so I think there's obviously a lot happening in our industry, and that has happened over the last 6 to 9 months. I think what we at Sierra have built and what we believe strongly in is the power of organic search and a business's ability to generate leads through an online presence versus buying them. Hey, buying leads is not a sin, right? But it can be hard to build a durable, sustainable business with that alone. And so Sierra was founded based on our IDX websites, and our IDX websites enable hyper local, hyper specific content that then leads to relatively high intent organic lead gen, right? And so whether you're in year 1 of your real estate journey or year 30, it's never too late to start building a well thought out content engine. And we have everything from, community pages to single property sites. Our sites are set up to enable you to do that. It requires ongoing investment, but our team helps you get started with that, continue to iterate on it, et cetera. So I'd say investing in your online presence, if you're in this for the long game, is number 1. And then, number 2, and this is where I think there's so much synergy between Fello and Sierra, is testing and iterating around kind of automations and workflows, right? Hey, if you're generating leads, think about them in segments based on certain criteria, set up action plans, and then actually evaluate the efficacy of those plans, and then be willing to change that up. And then the third thing I would say, and I believe this so firmly, is a lot of people have preconceived notions about their database. Oh, they're all buyers, or oh, they're all this. And it's just generally not true, right? Databases evolve in a way that you need to make sure your data reflects. And so enriching that data is mission critical to, I think, winning in kind of tomorrow's real estate world.
Yeah, and the funny thing for me is I agree so much, and this is just really a young team thing, is what we're focused on is building assets, right? Like we are investing a significant amount of money in our Sierra site, ohiorealestatesource.com, as just from an SEO organic standpoint, like that is an asset to us. It's an investment up front, right? But we are confident that long term it'll pay, very healthy dividends by the organic traffic that it is driving. It's the same thing with our database. That is an asset. Our brand, that is an asset. So we are doubling down and investing money and pulling away money from things that we don't have a lot of control over. With one caveat, we still continue to invest heavily in Google, not financially, but just naturally, if you look us up, we have 1,200 5-star reviews. We have a lot of content out there that pushes to Ohio Real Estate Source, our Sierra page. That's the one asset that ultimately we don't really own, but it's driven us so much organic traffic and so much opportunity that the ROI has been massive. But that's, I think, so important is, stop buying more leads and start building assets that you own that ultimately will produce opportunities for a long time to come. Almost if you think of like wealthy is like being wealthy is the ability to drive more passive income than you actually spend, right? And it's like kind of the same way we approach building our business, and I hope all you guys do as well. Real quick, I know we're kind of running out of time. I want to make sure, just before, really appreciate all the questions out there. If you want to do a demo with Fello or Sierra, or do them both. If you're already a Sierra user, do a Fello. If you're already a Fello user, definitely do a Sierra. Scan this QR code right here, okay? And we have some really exciting promotional opportunities and discounts for our Sierra users. And on the flip side, let me pop over to Sierra. Scan this Sierra QR code if you are not a Sierra user. My team's been using Sierra from just a testimonial standpoint. We've been on the Sierra CRM for a long time. It's long enough that I'm embarrassed to admit how long, because that's how long I've been in real estate. And just like Sykes with a headshot from you're 24 in that headshot. It's one of those things. That's probably how long I've been on Sierra. And we love the platform. It's been really instrumental in our growth. It's opened our eyes up to automation, and it's to really efficiently scaling our businesses. So would highly recommend that you give it a look if you're not currently using it. So
I want to give Peter a plug there real quick. This is our first year where our organic users are drastically outpacing our PPC and our paid stuff. And that is in no small part out to the Sierra platform. This has been incredible to see that those early lead measures and those organic users on there. So quick thanks to Peter and the team at Sierra for knocking that out of the park for us.
Well, and here's the cool thing, really quick to that is those organic leads that are coming in then ultimately start getting dripped on with that Fello enrichment and that Fello home value engagement and stuff like that. And so now what you're doing is you're turning an organic lead that was driven from an investment you made however long ago into a potential homeowner, into filling, and enriching your database with this really rich information. And once again, that's where I feel like the wealth is built in our industry, is not leveraging, third-party sources. I guess I should say them having all the leverage. It's building these assets. It's making these investments into your database, into your CRM, for it to ultimately kick out more gross commission and opportunities than hopefully you can handle. So any last words before we wrap?
No, very excited about this partnership. Been a long time coming. And hopefully we'll get most, if not all of you on both platforms.
Oh yeah, that's actually probably a good point. I don't know how to pull this slide down. Hold on. For Carrie, for the integration, we've got a pretty long line out the door. We're doing this strategically, right? We want to make sure we do it the right way. We don't break any systems, etc. It is in beta, right? So just it's one of those things, like it's only going to get better and better and better. But we are super excited for this integration. And Carrie, where can they, if they are already a Fello and Sierra user and they are not natively integrated, where can they go to do so?
Absolutely. Reach out to your customer success manager. We have a list that they can join, and we'll get them hooked up on a call to get the automation and the integration set up.
I love it.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Peter, Zach, thank you. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the partnership. Super excited about all the things to come, and looking forward to the next one.